So glad to be here today. It's been a minute or two, hasn't it? Um, I know everybody's been seriously hard at work at their gardens, that's for sure. Between the weather and the heat and all of it, it's just not given us a chance to take a break, is it? But anyway, it's very exciting. And sorry I haven't been with you the last couple of weeks. I think the one week we were having masonry hammered and drilled into. And then the last few weeks, my sleep has just been wacky. Uh, so I've been up kind of like all night and down all day. So it's been interesting, but I understand that's very common for women of a certain age that sleep, as hormone change, sleep becomes more interrupted. So lovely to see all of you. Let me just say hi and see who's here. Oh, hi, Denise. Hi, Mel. Hi, Rob. Good to have you here. Mary from Australia. Lovely to have you here. Must be the middle of the night for you. Let's see who else is in. Stephen, hi. So good to see you. Anna, always lovely. So glad you're here. Stephen, Rob. The allotment chef is here. So good to see you. Robin and Leanne. Oh, it's like old home week here. Wonderful. So, yeah, we need to catch up a little bit. We are now totally in the thick of things. Hi, Julie. Welcome. Yeah, aren't we? I finally have gotten everything in that needed to get in. A little late for many things, but once they get in, they just they go like crazy, don't they? Hi, Mama's Oasis. It's good to see you. Yeah, I've heard from several ladies that they're in the same boat. So I guess it helps to know that we're not the only one, but um, doesn't help with sleep, does it? So anyway, uh, so what have you all been up to? I feel like for those that got their tomatoes in early, um, hi Rob, uh, you're already getting some blush on some tomatoes and maybe even some tomatoes, which is exciting. I have a boatload of green tomatoes, so I know some are going to be blushing very soon. Hi, Joey. Um, so that's very exciting. I mean, that to me is definitely the true start, right? But I know summer squash, again, I have some on the plants, but they're not quite ripe yet. I do like to pick those a little bit early. I like them when they're small. Otherwise, you end up with hundreds of those ones that are absolutely huge, and you can't give them to anyone because they've had enough. So I try to pick them when they're young, and very happy. Nicola's here. Hi, Nicola from a soggy Cornwell. Oh, ooh. Uh, Nicola had some chicks hatch uh, over the last 2 days. I've never uh, had chicks or chickens, but it sure seems um, like if you're a gardener, like a great way to compost by just feeding your chickens, and you get eggs, and then you get that great bedding that they uh, like to sleep on, or they, do their business in, right? Hi, Stephen. Yes, things are crazy busy. So I feel like I finally have a handle on everything is in that needs to be in. I always overseed. This year I've been a little more brutal about picking what gets in the ground. because I realize that's kind of my problem is that I overdo and then I have to plant all of it. And I realize, I don't really have to plant all of it. So if I can't give it away, I sometimes say thank you for coming and they go into the compost, which has been years and years and years of me uh, to develop that skill because otherwise I'd plant every one of them. Oh, I had a great garlic harvest. I'm going to put that up on Instagram later. The garlic was beautiful size. It did really well. I'm so happy. Did not plant nearly as many as I did last year. I don't know if any of you remember, I ridiculously over ordered my garlic last year and I had like 700 cloves to get in. And I got them all in. But this year I think I was down to like 200, which is a much more manageable number, right? It's still a lot of work, but it's a whole lot easier than 700 for sure. But they turned out beautifully, and I still have to pull my elephant garlic, and I have another row of about 30 feet of other garlic that's just regular garlic, and I saved these all from last year's seed, so I'm very happy about that. And there were some that were so nice and big that I think I will have no problem saving again this year. And I think there is something to that fact of if it's already grown in your garden, it might be more suited. I'm not sure what science evidence there is for that, but yeah, on some level that does make sense, doesn't it? Let's see, Stephen is, oh wait, we have Mel was saying my cabbage looked good. Yeah, I also think I put a picture on Instagram today about some red cabbage I have. When I went out and felt them, they're not quite heading yet, but I'm so paranoid about these white cabbage butterflies that I almost want to pull them early, but I'll keep a close eye on those. Because I love a good red cabbage. Okay, Denise, oh, she's talking to Mel. Okay. Here's about a question already. Leanne's asking, ever roasted garlic and frozen it for future use? Yes, I have. I'm going to try a different method this year. We're letting it dry. It's right now under our piano drying. And once it gets a little bit more, I'm going to get them peeled. I think I'm going to throw them in the food processor and like freeze them in ice cube trays. So that'll be, a couple cloves each, and then use them for the year. Because I grow hardneck garlic, so it doesn't quite last like the soft neck, but they're so much easier to peel. And my other thing I'm considering is if we don't get to it all quickly, because, even if it's only 200 heads, that's still a lot of garlic to process. I'm going to try just putting mine in as an entire bulb in the freezer and then taking them out as I need them and just kind of process that one bulb at a time. Because last year I was not very good at getting it all processed because I was so overwhelmed with it. So I gave a lot away, and so I think this year is going to be much better. I'll see. Oh, Stephen has ordered Korean garlic for planting this fall. Now, what is the difference there, Stephen, between, I know obviously it's a variety, but is it significantly different? Because I know a lot when I grow like Korean peppers for kimchi, they are kind of significantly different in flavor. Leanne has I got a food processor to do that this year, so I don't have to keep bothering. Well, it's kind of true because as you're cooking with it, you've got to process it a little bit, right, to cook with it in most cases. Oh, hi, Megs. Welcome. Uh, yeah, Mary, I'm with you. I do love the flavor of red cabbage. And it also looks beautiful, and I also think they're a little less susceptible to the white cabbage butterfly. That's been more an experiential statement than I have facts to support that. I've just noticed that they'll chew the daylight. Like on my kale right now, it's beautiful, except for these big, nasty cabbage bites, or what are they? Caterpillar bites. Um, yeah. Oh, nice. So this Korean garlic has some citrus notes and gets really sweet when roasted. Love it. Nothing like good roasted garlic. Um, yeah, I would freeze that in a minute, but the problem is when we roast a head of garlic, there's not usually any left. So I guess I'd have to roast like a whole pan of it because my hubby's the same. And if you're both eating garlic, you're okay. Right? Mel's asking me if, I have not netted this year and kind of on purpose. I think I'm deciding. Well, I am going to do a little BT on the kale because we happen to love the big dinosaur kale. Um, but I don't like how it looks all over the garden. And I've planted way more flowers this year for kind of the same purpose. Like, I want to enjoy what I grow, but I also want it to be really pretty while it's there. So I'm trying to figure out a different way to do my netting instead of the big hoops. Um, I'm just kind of like rethinking the whole brassica thing, and maybe I'm just going to grow them early spring, get them in as quick as I can and try to get them out before the white butterflies show up. But I am going to spray my kale. Yeah, Mel saying she has every bed covered in netting. Yeah, and I think maybe if I were more on a garden plot, but this is my backyard. So I love how kale looks. I love, like we were just talking about, I love how a red cabbage looks. And to me, they're pretty enough that they look like decorative plants in the garden. So I kind of want to see them. So I'm rethinking this whole battle with the cabbage white butterfly. Because last year they took my soul a little bit because they were so aggressive. So aggressive. So, yeah, I might be, I want to get a little more creative with what I'm doing. So, they are a persistent pest, and I have tried netting. I have tried, checking the leaves and picking them off and all of those things. But again, I just want to enjoy what they look like. And I have done a whole lot more flowers this year. My son was here over the 4th of July holiday with his little girl, my granddaughter, and he had his drone with him. I had asked him to bring it. So he did some more drone shots for me of the growing space and of the lavender that I think many of you might know about that I've done in our front yard, like on the boulevard strip of land. And they are really growing beautifully. and he was able to fly his drone around and see things. So I'm hoping to get that up tomorrow. Was tomorrow Friday? Tomorrow well, probably or Sunday. Sunday seems to be a better day to post videos, but we'll see. I'm so behind in posting that I don't think I could overpost at this point. Um, uh, Leanne is, I just bathe cabbage whites by hand. I bathe cabbage whites by hand, but only have about 10 plants to watch. The chickens enjoy what I find. See, another good reason. Oh, you just battle cabbage whites by hand. Yeah, no, I mean, I grew a really nice variety of baby cauliflower this spring because sometimes, you get the big heads and they all come in at once, and then you're like, I, I like to enjoy these things fresh, although I do a whole lot of preserving, and it's always better fresh, isn't it? So I grew these baby heads. They were phenomenal. They were in and out before any cabbage butterflies showed up. So it was wonderful. Enjoyed it fully. I did early sprouting broccoli. That was great. But then I did succession sowing of a different sprouting broccoli. It was not happy with the heat, and it sure sprouted, but it sprouted in a way that was not great. So yeah, I'm really getting more of a, what do I really want to be growing? What do I not want to bother with? And just have more time to just look and enjoy. And again, I've always had a garden that had flowers plus veg. I think when I first started gardening, my garden style was more of a potager style, and I loved it. I got away from that with these raised beds, and now I'm trying to get back to that because I just love how that looks. Okay, Denise, have you managed to keep up with your succession showing? Not as much. However, today I was replanting one of my green stalks, the vertical planters, because that lettuce had bolted and I had a backup ready to go in. Well, so much of that had bolted as well, because we have really been experiencing great weather shifts. It's warm, it's hot, it's humid, and then like today, it was 64 outside. It was like chilly. It felt like a fall morning. And I thought, okay, we're nearly at 90 yesterday. So um, I think there's been just a whole lot of jogging. So we got some in. I had to ditch a lot of that tray because it was, again, already bolting. And but I have another backup of lettuce going. And this weekend I'll do a lot more sowing of some quick things that I can get in. Like after we took out the bulk of the garlic today, there were all kind of spots to pop in. And so I'm so lucky that I have these backups now, and that I'm really conscious about thinking, excuse me, when it comes out, I need to have things absolutely ready immediately. And speaking of succession sowing, I see Philip. Hi, Philip. Actually, you're the one that really encouraged me to do the succession sowing the way I'm doing it. And yeah, I was out in the garden myself today, right until we started here. So it's that time of year, isn't it? But again, it was 64 degrees outside, and it was 90 yesterday. So I think so many things are just going to flower and seed so quickly because they're as confused about the weather as we are. Oh, hi, JB. Good to see you. Let's see who else. Oh, Soph is here too. Awesome. Thank you. Um, so now, Soph, you're saying you're bored of the UK weather. What's been going on? Are you guys still getting a lot of rain? We've been having a lot. It's more like May here for rain because we didn't have much in May, unfortunately. So everything was dry and kind of burnt. And it is now we're getting all this rain. Well, we're also getting these very high temperatures. So, yeah. So I don't know what's going on there. Rain, rain, rain in Scotland. Well, Mags, isn't that kind of classic Scottish weather? No offense, but um, every time I've been there, you know, there was rain. At least I would remember like almost every day, but definitely more rain than we sure get here. Oh, yeah. I have a feeling there's just some, because a lot of times, I mean, I think everyone's kind of feeling that. Like I said, today it was cold, and I think it went down almost into the high 50s at night. And I think, wow, these there were poor plants that are still chugging along, getting it done, and we don't even know what to do. But we know one thing: have some of your plants ready uh, to go in, even if they're not fully ready. You know, you can put them in a shaded place for a few days, and depending on the weather, they will really start to take off, and then you can maybe get them in their space. So I'm going to be doing a whole lot of seed sowing this weekend just to kind of get, like I said, I was going to do that every 3 weeks because that's how Philip does it. And I did that for a good month and a half. I kept, well, maybe 2 months, I kept that going. And then it just got really overwhelming. So I think the lesson for me is don't sow quite so many seeds at once, which is hard for me because I love seeds. And okay, Robin's got weird weather in Chicago too. Oh, I did see a little baby cuke today. So, I mean, it was really little. It was maybe, gosh, it was small. I won't even try to give, but I could see the blossom end kind of curling up, and it was starting to form. So, I'm very anxious for the cucumbers. I've become, in my older age, more of a fan. I wasn't a big fan when I was younger, but love them now. Okay, so next big thing coming in mass quantities will probably be tomatoes, some beans. My beans are all flowering, but nobody's coughing up a bean yet. Um, Again, didn't get those in the ground until just a few weeks ago. So we can't expect miracles out of these lovely plants. Um, but I know they're coming. My peas, which I can't believe are still even growing because of the heat we've been having, but they're starting to look worse for the wear. So I think I'm going to be probably pulling those and sow some more for fall, which means I should probably start sowing them quite soon because it moves pretty quick, doesn't it? I mean, it's middle of July, which is kind of crazy. So, what are you guys looking forward to harvesting next, or I should say, harvesting in succession. Yeah, Steven's got bunnies. Yeah, bunnies do. We have a bunny that I think thinks we're his parents. I think this was an orphaned bunny, and started off being just adorable and cute and all the things little bunnies are. And now he likes to eat strawberries, uh, eat anything he can kind of get his little teeth on. He took down a raspberry bush that I had. So I guess we kind of have to try to coexist with our uh, our friends on 4 feet, right? And sometimes that's easier said than done. So, what do we have on for the next? I have felt really so wonderful about the amount of lettuce we have gotten. Um, Probably one of my best springs for lettuce. I actually got spinach to grow and not go to seed, which I can't believe. Arugula, it was wonderful. And there's nothing like going out right before dinner and picking enough for a salad. And I think it's one of the loveliest things I do. Uh, yeah. No, JB, I do not feel that way about squirrels. I like baby bunnies, but see, then they grow up into big bunnies, and then they think everything has been uh, planted for them, and it really hasn't. Yeah, and I know Soph kind of has a soft spot for bunnies, or I mean for squirrels, and you'll figure it out after they have trashed enough of your things. Yeah, don't like the squirrels. Okay, Phil's got his first lot of peas are done. Second row's about starting to produce. Just okay, awesome. That's a great way to do it. And that works for me for beans here. Peas, they're usually done by the beginning of July, just from the heat. So that's why I'm thrilled that they lasted as long as they did this year. But that's a good way to do it. Um, yep, that's a great way. Philip, I think you have such a great handle on um, succession sowing. So I imagine you're planting that row probably right next to where the one that was finishing uh, was growing. So yeah, that's great, great news. Rob's saying that his beans are about 8 feet tall, but no flowers on them. Well, I think it's like everything else, right? They're going to flower and produce when they're darn well ready. And depending on the variety, right, it takes its time. Robin from Chicago is next major harvest will be onions and shallots. Dang, those Elsa Craigs are, yes, they are huge. Often I am already harvesting, but it's 2-3 weeks off at least. Yeah, I grew. I'm going to say I need to say this properly because there are enough people from the UK on this. Bedfordshire champion. I think I got that right. Where, as you know, over here we would say Bedfordshire champion. So I'm trying to at least pronounce some things more universal. They are growing beautifully. And they're supposed to be a great storage onion. And that's kind of why because it's easy for me to grow a non-storage onion. Uh, but then you can't store them. So it's all about, you got to chop them up and freeze them. And I'd rather, if they could hang in the field a little bit, I'd rather pick just a couple, take them inside, use them, come out, when I need one and pick it. And I know at some point they're done, right? Because they're going to start going to seed if you don't get them out. But I do like the idea of some of uh, more like a succession with onions, so that I can just go out and grab them. The one thing I have not done this year is plant any spring onions, which is kind of humorous because spring um, is kind of done. But I think I am, in my next trays that I'm going to do this weekend, I am going to do some smaller spring onions, because they, at least for me, they grow well all year here. And I did buy my first bag of onion sets. Never bought those. I've never grown from a set. It was always from seed or from starts. And I'm just going to poke them all around the garden and see what they do, because I think at this point they might head, they might not. I'm not really quite sure what variety they are. They're just white onions in a bag. Or maybe I'll say brown onions in a bag. And those might end up just being picked as spring onions. But I always feel like you can't, it's almost like, garlic and onions, you almost can't have too much. I guess you could, but all I know is my living room right now, because I'm kind of out of horizontal spaces, because I had a lot of garlic. So I threw them under my piano, and the living room just smells of this wonderful garlic. So that might be a new space that I consider. Maybe the onions will go there next. Um, let's see. Rob is saying he's growing Bedfordshire champions, but not very happy with them. Oh, wow. Mine are just doing great, and I actually got them from a UK seed purveyor on Etsy. They had their stuff on Etsy. So, yeah, I feel like I got the real deal. Let's see. He lifted all his onions today, replanted the bed with beetroot plug plants, and sown a couple rows of carrots. Great. My first carrots this year have come up. Not up. I mean, they have sprouted. And to me, that's like potatoes. You got to wait until, well, I guess that's true with garlic too. Anything that's a root crop, right? You kind of have to wait and see how you did until it's over. Well, thank you, JB, but only vampires that are invited come to our house. Mary is, and just let me remind you, Mary is from Australia, so she's kind of at the opposite planting time than we are. So some bulb onions in the morning, transplant brassicas, and sow some more snow peas. Yeah, I had a lovely crop of snap peas here for the spring, and I'm going to grow my snow peas, which I think is Mange too in the UK, for the fall. And I think that will just be lovely. And I love that you don't have to pod them. That's the best part. Mag says her carrots are struggling this year. Do you think that's from all the rain you're getting? Perhaps? I guess I don't know what they might be struggling with. Mama's Oasis is saying that her elephant garlic didn't clove up. Were you sure that did you get it in a good freeze? Was there a freeze? Did you have a good, because they're going to need a good freeze in order to clove. I saw a great idea the other day. I think it might have been on YouTube. And I don't know if you all love growing poppies. Um, I mean, they're beautiful. They don't last long, but they're very beautiful while they're there. And I'm going to try this for next spring. And you pour the poppy seeds into ice cube trays. However, whatever, like you kind of cover the bottom of it or partially cover the bottom, and then you put a quarter inch, half inch of water on top, and you freeze them. And then as the seasons are starting, can still be put out while it's cold. You just go out and sprinkle the ice cubes where you want them to be. And this person swore by this as the most successful way that he or she, again, I have to go back so I can give credit where credit is due. But they are like, this is the only way I've grown poppies now for the last 10 years. And I thought, wow, what a brilliant idea. So I'm going to try that. And I think it was like they did this in February, put it in the freezer for a month, maybe two. Like maybe it was February, and then they put them out in April, and they were absolutely gorgeous. So, okay. Yeah, I don't know. That's the only reason I would know that. But I would imagine, I mean, you'd know if you got down to a good freeze. Um, that's maybe one of the benefits of living where I do is that, oh my word, we always get frozen. That is not a problem. Hi, Fiona. Let's see here. So, what else are you starting to sow? I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I've put in my fennel because for me they grow always better after the longest day. I started some chicory and some radicchio, another whole thing of lettuce. My beets are coming in quite nicely. I would like to sow some more of those because those will also grow nicely into the fall. I harvested some turnips yesterday, and they were the small Mikado turnips. They were the size of like a grapefruit. So I will be cutting those up tonight and see if all I have is a pile of wood or if they actually still taste like a turnip. Like that one I might have blown. But they grow in like 45 days. So if I've done that, I'll get more in the ground. Robin is saying she tried Chioggia beets for the first time. Yeah, they are delicious raw. Been making a carrot and beets shaved salad nonstop. Still love my Detroit red and golden. Yeah, I grow bull's blood more for the foliage than the beet because I'm a golden beet. Those to me, you almost can't beat those. But Chioggia, I grow those for my neighbor who happens to be a chef because that's one of his favorites. And he always delights us with a little concoction that he makes from them. So I'll be happy to grow those for him all the time. Welcome, Pauline. You are correct. Always better late than never. Yeah, Rob, yes, yeah, elephant garlic is actually part of the leek family, but they still need a frost to bulb up a little bit. So that's why I was asking that. They still need that cold spell. Have I ever grown mooly radish? I have not. I've grown a lot of radishes, but I've not tried that one. I will have to look and see if I can get a hold of those seeds for next year. What kind of flavor does that have, Fiona? Uh, let's see what Joanne. Did I? Oh, there we go. Sometimes it moves quicker than me. Sowed some turnips at the plot earlier. Planning on starting pak choi, tatsoi, more lettuce and coriander soon. Awesome. I do have dill. My dill this year has been very uh, fussy, so I did resow that. I did sow cilantro as well because uh, that also was not doing great. I am growing red vein sorrel this year, and it doing beautifully. It's not even uh, like nodding at this hot weather, and I think sorrel might be more of a summer crop, but loving it, and it has that lovely like a lemon finish. So I almost prefer it to spinach because I think it has more flavor. Oh, Anna had good. She had some great germination from late June sown fennel. Yeah, so they're coming up, which is nice, and might even have to start pricking those out next week and getting them in their own little containers. It's a mild flavored radish. This is the mooly radish. Mild flavor. I'm not a fan of hot radish. Oh, okay. I don't mind a little spice. A lot of times I roast them anyway. So unless, yeah, yeah, but that sounds great. But once I roasted them, I kind of never went back because they taste like a different vegetable. Um, oh, Mary's jumping in the dahlia pool. Yeah, this is my first year growing dahlias too. Uh, I bought five dahlias, and they were already plants. They had already been planted, and three survived, and two did not. And I couldn't tell. They were all in the same location. They were, um, but then when we took them out of the pot, obviously we potted them up. Um, there was no roots, so there was no tuber left. So I'm not sure how that worked, but the three that I have look amazing, and I feel like I've had the Kool-Aid now, and that might be a concern for the future because they're stunning and they bloom and bloom and bloom. Um, yeah, good luck with that, and I'll wish myself good luck with that too because they're just gorgeous. I'm just not sure how good I'm going to feel about the winter care that they need. Uh, so I purposely put them in pots, and I'm just going to put the pots in our garage and let them winter right there and see what happens. Because I don't think, because of my current uh, physical abilities, that I'm going to want to be digging them up every year, storing them, replanting them. I just don't know that I have that in me. So, or maybe I'll just purchase them new every year. I don't know. Very pretty. These ones are orange, kind of orangey with a deep red center and then yellow tips. And they're just stunning. Oh, Pauline's got some nice melons growing. Lovely. Oh, you'll get a little hooked on melons too if you've never grown them because there's nothing like. I'm a cantaloupe fan and a watermelon fan, and there's nothing like getting one right off the vine. Oh, there's nothing like it. So good. Uh, okay, so Leon's next harvest is optimistically some carrots, maybe baby carrots, but they're still absolutely um, awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. I need to. I like have to make a mental note. I listen to this. I usually go back and read all the comments just because I know I miss some. Um, yeah, I think everybody is agreeing that the dahlia slope is a was it like a black diamond slope? Oh my goodness, I have missed a lot. Uh, yes, yeah. So I think it's like a black diamond slope. In other words, um, let's see. Oh my goodness, Denise, her dahlias. Um, well, isn't that part of being? What am I doing? Okay, I'm sorry. I keep clicking things. Uh, no, that was not. Although Denise, that's great. I think those are kind of the black spicy ones. My 7-year-old picked them as he wanted to plant some flowers, and that's what he chose. Well, then he'll have to learn the proper care of dahlias, right? Here, we're going to dig these up. Yes. Uh, Mary Alice, I'm growing Bishop's Children Dahlia from seed. Really looking forward to seeing the flowers. Foliage is dark and pretty in its own right. I'm in southeast Northumberland, UK. Hope they produce tubers to save. Well, so do we. We hope those produce tubers for you. And yeah, I didn't get into the seeding of dahlias yet. It was like I don't want to call it an impulse buy. Because when you're at a garden center, there's no such thing as an impulse buy. At least, I don't think so. Rob said he picked his first chilies yesterday. I have a few. It's a new variety for me. It's called salsa, and they look like they might be ready. So I might wait for a week and see if they get any bigger because it's still a little early for me to be harvesting peppers or chilies. But one or two to taste, see if it's see if they're good. Oh wow, Mary Alice likes Scotch bonnets. Well, good for you. I think if JB's still in the house, he will applaud that. I have never grown Scotch bonnets, but I am growing. I am growing more hot peppers than I used to because I'm definitely getting into the hot sauce making um, thing, and I love fermenting, so I'm gonna just have some fun with playing around with hot sauces. Fiona is saying everything's still so slow this year. Just picked my first tomato today. Well, sun gold should never make it out of the greenhouse, should it? I feel like sun golds are it's a gardener's treat. That should be something that we all just get to enjoy while we're in the garden. Uh, this is Stephen. We have a giant I don't want to say that incorrectly, Hmong community here, and they grow great melons about 5 miles from my house and sell them at the farmer's market every Thursday. Well, nice. I, yeah, that's very nice. I'm also growing my first bitter melon this year, and I realized probably would have been smarter to taste a bitter melon before before I started growing them, but that usually does not uh, concern me most times. But yeah, so I'm anxious to say they're supposed to be incredibly good for you, and sometimes that's enough, right? So uh, where did I? There we go. Yeah, melons are so nice though. Let's see. I had my first black moon, Tom, today. Yummy. Congratulations, Pauline. Uh, I think Black Moon was the one that we were talking about on Potty Mouth, wasn't it? And Grown Local, I think, was providing those. Yeah. Stephen is saying he's also on the Dahlia train. They're coming now slow, but getting there. Yeah, I can't wait for them. Honestly, I think what might be fun is for next year to buy just some tubers and kind of do the anticipation thing because, like I said, I bought them and they were already blooming. So I really didn't have to wonder how beautiful they were going to be, and they're quite beautiful. Uh, well, we have a lot of Black Moon growers. Lovely. Pauline says they taste lovely. Um, though I haven't met many tomatoes like that come off the vine that aren't. I mean, obviously we have our favorites, but uh, oh wow, Rob grows some hot chilies. Okay, let's see. Okay, Mary, I've watched a lot of dahlia growers on YouTube, so that's probably why she got hooked. Oh, so okay. It took me minutes. Sorry, I was so dahlia. Is it dahlia or Darlia? It's I think it's Dahlia or Dahlia. I mean, I've heard it both ways. You know, tomato, tomato, tomato. I don't know if it's that simple. Uh, but yeah, I kind of say it whatever I'm feeling at that moment. I think I'm more of a Dahlia, but again, I don't know if it's which one is the correct. I guess we'd have to look it up in the dictionary where they do the uh, the pronunciation guide. Uh, okay, Mary is a chicken when it comes to hot peppers, but we'll grow some jalapenos this year. Well, that's a good way to introduce yourself to some hot peppers. And once you do that, you'll get a feel for them, and then people in your family or friends will say, "I really like that one," and then you'll grow them because you know that person really likes them. So yeah. Uh, let's see. Well, I'm sorry, we'll just have to pronounce differently. And I think most people will get Dahlia or Dahlia, right? Yeah, I think. I think we're safe. I love watermelons and we'll grow some this year too. I bought a couple of different varieties. Yeah, Sugar Baby Bush is one of my favorites because it's um, the vine, it does not like take over. Uh, what's the other one? There's one called Mini Love that it's a really small watermelon. It's like a personal size watermelon. The Sugar Baby Bush are, a medium sized watermelon, or maybe I could say small to medium, uh, but the vine is not long. I don't grow any, well, I shouldn't say that because I'm growing some crown currants squash this year, and those vines go pretty crazy. Uh, oh, I'm sorry, Fiona. I hope you enjoyed it. I got a bug got into my first pepper of the year. Yeah, they're gonna. Oh, I knew that. I'm kidding, Stephen. Thank you for pointing that. Dal is a Scandinavia name. They pronounce it like doll. But I still feel like the Dahlia people in the world, people will still know what they're talking about, right? Uh, Mags is growing lollipop chilies for the first time. Just like the look of them. Don't know how hot they are. Well, I'm going to suggest you try that. Either you have your husband try it, or you just eat the blossom end a little bit. That's like the trick to fooling people into seeing or thinking that you can eat really hot peppers, right? You do that before it gets to the seeds. Yeah, I've not heard of that one either. It sounds sweet though, doesn't it? Like if it's a lollipop, but some of those chili heads. Don't worry about that. Uh, we've been having so much rain here. I actually saw my first slug. We just have never had any problems with them because it's just too warm here in the summer. But I guess that happens. Anyone heard of the Red Devil chili? I got some seed from the garden center on sale. Plants are small, but they're starting to produce flowers. Well, and if they're a really hot pepper, they're going to grow slower um, than quicker. So chances are good if it's slow growing, you might have a hot one on your hands. Um, okay, Stephen, in a cross-continental conversation, uh, you're inviting a whole world of trouble. uh, um, oh, that is nice. Yeah, and they are breeding so many more um, chilies that have the flavor of some of. I mean, like a habanero has a lovely flavor, but the heat is, you know, in my opinion, pretty strong. Um, but when you can get one that has the flavor, um, it's wonderful. And I think there's just a whole lot of breeding going on to try to get those to the market. Um, yeah, that's great. Yeah. Okay, well, great. JB is he's the chili head around, right? He loves his peppers. So, oh my word, we're already at the hour. Uh, oh, I love it. Sophie, thank you for being here. You go have fun building flat pack. I know I can just see the instructions, as you say. Uh, anyway, so good to see all of you. I have I've missed doing this. So, uh, whether or not the sleep gets worked out or not, we're going to do this next week because even tonight, last night, I wasn't sleeping until at least 4 a.m. and I got up at 8. So, right? So we'll do what we got to do here. So, yes. So next week, for sure, uh, we will be back. Um, and again, always enjoy speaking with all of you. And yeah, let's finish this midsummer strong, right? Let's keep playing with the crazy weather that we're getting and doing our best, right? Okay, well, you guys have a wonderful week, and I for sure will see you next week. And, there should be some videos coming out this week too. So I'm back in the saddle, so to speak. So, again, thanks everybody. See you soon.